My name is Anthony Betker, and I'm a student teacher from Grand Canyon University, and this is my fourth site visit video. In the lesson being presented here, what I am doing is giving the students a practice performance task to help prepare them for their upcoming Smarter Balance assessment. All right, so here's your performance task for math, guys. We are going to be constructing cereal boxes. You're looking at that picture of that cereal boxes, and what does it remind you of? What do you think we might be doing? What do you think, Sabrina? We're not going to be eating cereal, but you're looking at that box. Okay? You're going to be looking at that box, and what three things are you noticing that they're giving you on that, Sean?
The length, the width, and the height.
So if they're giving you length and width and height, what's something that you think they would be asking you to do today, Evelyn?
Find the volume.
Finding volume, right? Now, cardboard, these cereal boxes are made out of cardboard. How many people have taken apart a cardboard box before? Yeah? What are you left with? What are you left with when you open up that cardboard box, Sergio?
A net.
A net. That is exactly correct. The net, remember, is a two-dimensional rendering or a two-dimensional version of a three-dimensional shape. Remember? We did it with paper for your homework assignments way back when we started geometry. So those are some of the things that we're going to be dealing with today. So the first section here, it says constructing cereal boxes. Who wants to read it for me? Go ahead, Juliana.
A cereal company is looking to construct a new box for their leading brand of cereal. The box and its dimensions are shown below.
Okay, there is the picture of our cereal box. Mark, what is your favorite kind of cereal?
Puffs.
Which kind?
Yeah,
Cocoa Puffs? Okay, so there's your box of Cocoa Puffs. So we are going to be looking at that box of cereal and you're thinking Cocoa Puffs. Okay, in between the two sections here it says write your answers on another piece of paper, show all of your work to receive full credit. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, who wants to read part A? The first thing that they're going to be... All right, so our performance task. Who wants to reread our performance task for us? Go ahead. Go ahead, Sabrina. Exactly, that is our performance test. Yep.
A cereal company is looking to construct a new box for their leading brand of cereal. The box and its dimensions are shown below.
Yes, and we decided that this was going to be Mark's favorite cereal, which is what again? That's what I thought, Cocoa Puffs. So part A is asking us, each box needs to be cut from a flat piece of cardboard, so draw a net for a box and label its length, width, and height, okay? So I have here a box of cereal, right? It's kind of like a box of cereal. Now remember our nets? A net is what you do when you take a three-dimensional shape and you turn it into what? Evelyn?
A two-dimensional shape.
A two-dimensional shape. So we have a three-dimensional box of cereal here. It's not really cereal, but it'll serve for our cereal box. And what you're going to do when you draw your net is pretend that you're opening it up and so you can see all of its faces, okay? So this is going to be used, this will be our cereal box. So if you have a net that looks similar to mine, then you can go ahead and give yourself 5 points. But what we need to make sure we have is we need to make sure we have all of our faces. A good way to check our work is to make sure we have all of the faces here. When we look at a cereal box, what three-dimensional shape is it? You remember? Sergio, you remember?
A rectangular prism.
It is. It is a rectangular prism. It looks somewhat similar to this, right? Okay? So, if we're looking at this shape, right, just like we saw in our book when we did all of our geometry, how many faces does that shape have? You guys already know. You guys been doing this before. Kinley. 6. There are 6 faces there. And if we open up our net here, we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
Good job, Hannah. Just wanted to make sure you were there. So, yeah, you want to make sure that there are 6 faces. So if your net has 6 faces, that's a really great way to start to check your progress there, okay? Okay? So what we need to do when we're finding the areas, we need what 2 dimensions when we're doing area? What 2 dimensions do we need, Sebastian?
Length and width.
We do. We need length and width. So let's start with the front of the box. Let's start with the face, the big one that you see with all the cool pictures and all the nice colors on it, right? So what is the width of our box here? What is this width, Jim? 9 inches, right? What about the length? What is the length, Nelson? 12 inches. So if I'm going to figure out the area of this, what do I need to do, Nelson?
Times the width.
Okay, the width and the length. So what would you get if you multiplied the length and the width? How's that, Emily? 108. 9 times 12? 108. 108 what, Nelson? Inches. We're dealing with length and width. There we go. 108 inches squared. Now, we know that on a rectangular prism, we know that opposite sides are both parallel and what starts with a C? A length congruent. So what we can do is we can take this space, and we know that the front and the back are congruent, so we can take this space and we do what with it to get the area of the back?
You do the same thing you did for the front.
Yeah, you do the same thing that you did with the front. You can even take this and you can multiply it by 2, because we have 2 of them, and then that'll give us the area of the front and the back. Okay? Anybody know what 108 times 2 is? Juliana, you want to walk me through it?
216 inches cubed.
216 inches. We're dealing with length and width. So length and width. Squared. There you go. Make sure you got that. So we got 216 inches squared. So now we've got the front of the box, we've got the back of the box. To reflect on the footage and from the video from the lesson that had been presented, there were a few things that I like to comment on. The first being on the grouping techniques that wasn't filmed for the video itself. I felt that it was a lengthy process that didn't lend itself very well to video, but the grouping strategy that I did apply to this lesson was allowing students to self-reflect after reading the questions and after understanding what all of the questions were asking of the students. They then had an opportunity to demonstrate their own comfort level with the content, and so they were able to sort of rate themselves and give themselves a number rating, and then we paired those ratings of students who were less comfortable with the content and paired them with students that were much more confident in their ability to solve those problems, and allowed those students to pick their own groups, and that allowed them to be a little bit more honest with how they felt about it. The second thing with the content itself and the going through of the content within the lesson and the video, I felt that the students were relatively confident. I liked that many of the students had seemed excited with being able to demonstrate that they knew what the questions were asking and they knew how to solve those problems. So that was a very positive takeaway from the video. And the other one being that area was a content area that was addressed by my mentor teacher prior to me becoming a student teacher and being present inside the classroom. So it was a really great opportunity for me to assess student understanding of that content that I wasn't there and I wasn't present for its delivery. So it allowed a chance for them to sort of reinstill that information in them and to give them more confidence in something that maybe they hadn't touched on in quite a while. And it was also nice for me to use that as sort of a formative technique to see, do I need to stop and explain area to them and how to solve that, or is that something that they can recall on their own? Who needs help and who doesn't? So those were the positive takeaways.